And this week we're concentrating on Yemen, where the U.S. is supplying Saudi Arabia and giving them logistical support so that they can starve and blockade that country where some rebels are trying to take over. And creating sickness on a massive scale is not the way to solve the problem. Right now there's a cholera epidemic where over 800,000 people have cholera in Yemen. And 3 agencies from the UN have made a big plea to stop the blockade, saying that it's going to be well over 1 million people soon. The World Food Program, UNICEF, and the World Health Organization made a plea to the world to force the Saudis to stop this blockade. I guess today, for the first time in weeks, some humanitarian aid has arrived in Sana'a, the capital. But when you have 800,000 people with cholera, you need more than a load or 2 of aid, although we're happy that they're letting some aid in. But the rebel-controlled port of Hodeidah is the place where 80% of the supplies coming into the country go through, and that has not been opened up. And I'm sure that the government of Saudi Arabia and the government of Yemen do not want that to open up. It's kind of like the war that our country waged against Sandinista Nicaragua with the Contras. They say, we'll just blow up the health centers and kill the people building roads, so they'll know as long as you have this government we don't like, you're in big trouble.
So actually, of course, this week, there were actually all kinds of news events presented by our media as if they're almost unrelated, of course. The 2 main port cities of Yemen were just closed off in the last few weeks. They have been bombed for almost 3 years. Almost 3 years. And everyone should note at this point, of course, that the New York Times just came out with a new report saying that our bombing, and of course there was some general there, I saw the actual video, and he was so enraged that anyone who would think that there was anything wrong with our bombing, because it's so precise. Now the reality, of course, is what the report found is exactly precise. The problem is that half of the time the intelligence is completely and totally wrong. So here's this general getting up on his high horse that anyone could think that the United States of America is committing war crimes by his bombing, when in fact half of the time they are hitting something entirely different than what they think they are hitting. This is the systematic destruction which has now gone on for over 16 years since 9/11, since the U.S. has decided that they can bomb any place in the world, they can kill anybody they decide to kill, and yet they think they are war criminals.